FR Challenge is our next event in the beginner series. So let's go and mosey our way through that. And where for this one, I will be doing this in style and using the Jensen Interceptor, and 1500 credits if we win each of these races, which is equivalent to about 7,500 credits. And in terms of the places we're going to Seattle, Tsukuba, Special Stage Route 5, Laguna Seca, and Motorland as our 5 races which we are heading to. Anyway, on to Seattle, and where I am using the very stylish 1974 Jensen Interceptor Mark III. Partly because I wanted to, and also because, well, I want to do this in style. It's probably going to make these races piss easy because I have nearly 400 horses under the hood, but in all honesty, I just want to showcase this car at least once because, well, I know I'm going to showcase the Mazda RX-8 at some point. But anyway, so we've got 3 Nissans, if you account for the Silati, a BMW 3 Series, and a Chrysler Crossfire as our competition. Doing 2 laps around Seattle reverse. And if we win, we'll get 39 points. Kind of what I'm expecting here, but in all honesty, I did say I was wanting to do this in style. And I figure using the Jensen technically is me doing this in style. If I can win. And I'm pretty confident in saying that I can win. Even though I did technically make this easier for myself anyway, but no matter. I will also switch to the hood because, well, it's kind of intrusive on the back, if you know what I'm talking about. But either way, I am prepared to try something bold, and that's why I've chosen the Jensen Interceptor. And already up into second position, looks like the Chrysler is clearly going to be my only real competition here. May not have a very good car through the corners, but on the straights, however, I pretty much have the best car here, even though I am sliding around a lot. Shit. I probably should have put on a suspension upgrade or something before going into this, because this car does not have as much handling as the previous 2 cars I drove. But I did say I was wanting to do this in style, and that's what I'm going to do. In spite of me getting a little bit of wheel spin, but I'm still competitive. Even then, of course, if this car is literally chewing up the tyres at the moment. And I am now right behind the Chrysler. Also, that wind sound effect you heard in the background, that was me basically being in the slipstream of the Chrysler. And he tries to sell me the dummy. We're definitely fighting for this position. My car is very loose at the moment, but I do manage to go up the inside, and I can definitely say the Jensen has made this race more interesting than what I would have had with the Mazda RX-8 had I chosen to use that. But no matter. Pretty much everything is a learning curve at some point, and up to this point, I think I'm doing okay with the Jensen. I figured, well, you know, because this is technically a classic British car, I might as well use it. Even though this car basically is 50 years old. And it's about the same age as both Blazing Saddles and the Towering Inferno. Two films that were, ironically, box office hits in 1974. Even though a lot of people probably did prefer Blazing Saddles over the Towering Inferno anyway. For a few different reasons. Even though it was technically during the whole blaxploitation era of Hollywood that was present in the early 70s. Anyway, you know. Moving on. But there we go. I win in Washington with a British classic. The Jensen Interceptor has reigned supreme on the streets of Washington. I'm also pretty sure that might be a football stadium. In other words, it could be the stadium where the Seattle Seahawks are based. It's either that or it's a baseball stadium. Anyway. The Chrysler finished second, Nissan third, BMW fourth, then the 300ZX fifth, and it was the C80 that finished in sixth and last. The C80, by the way, is a combination of both the Nissan Silvia and also the Nissan 180. That's technically what that car is. Hence, C80. Anyway, on now to race 2 at Tsukuba, where I might have more of a disadvantage because this is a track that's based more on handling than it is speed. But hopefully I will find a way to break through, because I broke through in the previous race. Maybe I can break through in this race, as we've got 2 Nissans, 2 BMWs, and 1 Lexus as our competition for race 2. And this time we only get 24 points if we win. Well, I kind of knew that was coming, but nonetheless. If I'm able to do it in style, then I'll make sure to do it in style. Even then, of course, if I do make these races look piss easy, because of how much more power I have. But at the same time, it's more interesting because I technically have less handling than the cars in front of me. That's the other way to look at it. And my god, is this thing big. It's stylish, but it's also very big for cars of that era. Not exactly the sort of thing you would normally expect to see during an oil crisis, which is technically when this car was made. But nonetheless, this car did manage to achieve its fair share of resounding success. And it looks like this one is going to be piss easy, because I'm already up into 3rd position at the end of the first lap. And the first 2 cars I have raced in this game so far have ironically been yellow cars. Yeah. It probably will help if I downshift into first, because then it will give me a bit more of an advantage acceleration-wise. because I'm pretty sure this car has a V8. A little bit of contact there, trying to force my way up the outside, and that's pretty much what I do, even though I am running wide. But neither of the BMWs are audacious enough to make a pass, because they have pretty much let me go. And now it's pretty much on to another race that I will have pretty much dominated, because that's just how much faster my car is compared to the AI. But either way, I have done it in style. I also don't think there's any way for me to reduce the horsepower output, because I know that's not an available option yet in the GT games. But either way, life is good. Because I am doing this Brit style. And also because this is the only British car I have at the moment. Even though I am making this look very easy. Anyways, I win. 2 races down. And I win by 5.3 seconds over the 2 BMWs. Then we had the Lexus 4th, and it was the 2 Nissans, the Silvia and the 300ZX, who finished in 5th and last. Alrighty. Should I save this replay? Actually, no, I won't. No, not yet. I think I'll wait until the following race to save the replay. Just because I want to make it more interesting. Anyway, 3rd race at Special Stage Route 5. I'm also pretty sure the thumbnail car for this event is a Nissan Silvia S15, from what I can see. But anyway, enough about that. Let's move on to this, where our competition now is 2 BMWs again, 1 Chrysler, 1 Honda, and 1 Nissan. I should probably check. Is it possible for me to reduce the power output? I don't think it is, but I will check to be sure, because I'm pretty sure that's not available yet. No, it isn't. Oh well. Doesn't matter. I do make these races look easy anyway, but obviously I wanted to make it more interesting. But anyway, so we've got a BMW Z4 with the BMW 3 Series, a Chrysler 300C, a Nissan Skyline GTS, and a Honda S2000 as our competition. And it looks like the Chrysler Crossfire is probably going to be my most challenging opponent out of all of them. But nonetheless, I'm still doing this in style, because I figured I might as well do this event in style. I also figure this might as well be a good place to save the next replay, because I am pretty much cruising in this thing when I'm out in front. Even though I probably would have made it more challenging had I chosen the Mazda RX-8. But whatever. It's inevitable to say that I will use the RX-8 I have at some point, but for now, I'm pretty content with just using the Jansen and basically just, well, you know, giving myself something to be plausible for. I mean, I gotta give this car at least 1 or 2 races. I mean, come on. This car basically is a cult icon to a lot of us Brits. I'm also pretty sure it was used in a few detective dramas as well, if I'm not mistaken. I couldn't tell you which ones, but this car definitely did appear in 1 or 2 detective dramas. It might have appeared in The Professionals, but I don't know for sure. But either way, I am way out front as I head into the corner at under 140, heading through the tunnel. This is more or less going to be an easy win from what I can see. I don't think the AI will catch up to me. And up to this point, I'm basically just cruising. Because I wanted to make these events look easy. Well, not easy. Because I just wanted to use this car to, well, give it a certain presentation for it being 5-0 in terms of age. Well, the big 5-0 if you want to know what that means. I don't think it really needs to be told what the big 5-0 refers to, because you probably already know. And if you haven't figured it out yet, well, this car is literally half a century old. As of 2024, which is when I'm recording this. And it will probably it'll probably be when this video comes out as well. And once again, I am just absolutely dismantling the field. I may get very few points for this, but in all honesty, I don't really care, because this will probably be the only time I actually get to use the Jansen, since I do have it in my garage. I figured it was a suitable way to go through this event. Even though I could have used the Jansen for the World Classic Car Series as well if I really wanted to, because there is going to be some serious competition in that event. But whatever. I do this because I want to, and also because I think it's appropriate. I accidentally got rid of the E. Oh well. Doesn't matter. I get it back again. Alrighty. So there we go. That's now replay number 6, now saved. And now we have just 2 races to go, as I am pretty much dominating these events using the Jansen Interceptor. Because I can. Alrighty, 2 races to go, as we've got Laguna Seca and Motorland. Let's head over to Laguna Seca, since I would imagine this event is probably going to be another clean sweep, a lot like the FF Challenge was. But we'll wait and see. As this time we've got 2 Nissans, 1 Honda, 1 Mazda, and 1 Chrysler. Alright, let's go. And this time, 35 points if we win. Still tells me this race is going to be pretty easy. And so far, I have driven 15 miles in the Interceptor. So, let's go. With our first race at Laguna Seca. And already up the inside of the Nissan Skyline 350 GT. That's basically an Infiniti if you're asking. And now up the inside of the Mazda RX-7 FC. And so far so good. As I'm now up into P4. I don't think this race is going to be too much of an ask for me to win, because I know the AI are not very strong around a lot of these courses. Although I am convinced in saying this race might be a bit more of a challenge because there are more corners involved. But either way, I'm still finding my way through the field because I'm now up into P3 after starting in last. Now heading up into Corkscrew and keeping it in second gear so I don't get any wheel spin as I prepare for the undulation. Had to go for a dive there. I think that was relatively clean because I did not exceed the track limits. And now there is just one car between me and victory. And that is the Nissan Silvia S13 leading this race. Even though it probably would have been more challenging if the Honda was leading this race. Unless that Silvia has upgrades fitted. But no matter. I still believe it is possible for me to get this thing to thrive. Even though I don't think the Jensen Interceptor was ever made for racing. It was made for other things, but I don't think it was ever made for racing. I would have to look through this car's history to be sure, but I'm pretty sure it was never made to be a race car. From what I know. And in all honesty, considering how futuristic this car must have looked at the time, I'm honestly glad to say they didn't race this thing. Although personally I'm not very good with car comparisons, but doesn't really matter because, well, point is, I'm just schmooving my way through these two lappers. And making sure that I give this car a suitable road to victory. And there we go. 35 points. Another win by 3.8 seconds over the Nissan. Honda finished 3rd, Chrysler 4th, RX-7 5th, and at the back was the Skyline Coupe, who just made it to the flag right before the fade. But either way, there we go. So that is another race done. Now we just have one to go. And that will take place at Motorland. Let's go. I also don't really care for the preview because I more or less know what my competition is going to be since I have done all these events before on my previous channel, which is sadly dead because I didn't really care from my old one anymore. Anyway, so we've got the same Skyline 3, so we've got another Skyline Sedan 350 GT this time, along with 2 Chryslers and 2 BMWs. So, let's get it on. And 17 points. Looks like this one is pretty much going to be another easy dub from what I can see. Even though my old friend, the Crossfire, is in this race. But, here we go. Let's now finish off the Janssen Interceptor Tour. Once I can find a way past this BMW. Who got a little bit forceful with me there, but I did manage to find my way through. And still hitting the back of the Chrysler nonetheless, but able to find my way through on the inside. And now there are just 2 cars between me and victory. And once I really get going with this thing, that's when I might clinch it. Or at least cinch it, if you know what I mean. Since I would imagine I'm only really going to be using either first gear or second gear around this course. That's more or less what I'll be doing. So closing in on the Chrysler, making sure that I can mitigate the wheel spin. And at this time, we are doing well, because I am right behind the Chrysler. And I am steadily closing in, as I'm less than a second behind. He does seem to have more handling than me, but I am able to at least stay close to him. I might have to go for a dive if I'm going to catch him. That might be what I'll have to do here. And I'm going for it. I had to go for the maneuver if I was going to get past him, and that's pretty much what I did. He tried to do the switcheroo, but I threw the block. The block managed to pay off. Put him off track a little bit there, but he probably would have done the same to me, nonetheless. But altogether, I think we're okay. Because I have now cleared him. And I am now less than a second ahead of the Chrysler. But since he has more handling than me, he might be able to get the old switcheroo, but since I'm far enough ahead of him, I don't think he's going to attempt any dives. I think we should be good. As long as I don't do that again, I think we should be good. Well, this has definitely been a close one, but I think I'm going to outduel the Crossfire. The V8 from 1974 outduels, I think, the V8 from 2004. So the 70s beats the 2000s. As I proved that in all 3 races. Probably because my car had less than 400 horsepower. Anyway, 1500 credits, and we're now up to 128.5k. And I do have a replay saved. I had to think for a moment, but I'm pretty sure I had one saved. But either way, there we go. I win. And now, let's move on to our next prize car, which is... how very fitting. The first ever Nissan Skyline. Or more specifically, the Nissan Skyline 2000 GTB. Cool. Alrighty. So, another clean sweep in the beginner series, as we have now done 3 events. And next up will be the 4-wheel drive challenge. So, let's check out our new car. The Nissan Skyline 2000 GTB in Caroline Red from 1967. Cool. That's all I can really say. This car is cool. Okay, I think that's enough now. So, I will switch over to my next car, and I only have 2 of these, so I will switch over to the Honda Dual Note for our next event, the 4-wheel drive challenge. As we are now 2.5% complete with the game. And next time will be the 4-wheel drive challenge. Coming in the next episode of GT4.